Hey guys, this is Jenyse Josette, and we'll be talking to you about The Great Raid, made by John Dahl. This film was based on the greatest rescue mission in U.S. military history. After the Bataan Death March, the surviving American and Filipino soldiers were taken captive by the Japanese army, led by the General Major Nagai, played by Motoki Kobayashi. These soldiers were kept in prisoner of war camps for 3 years in Cabanatuan, Luzon. There, the Japanese treated them as if they were animals. They were starved to death, brutally beaten, and even got diseases like malaria. For 3 years, these POW soldiers never gave up in hopes that one day they will be rescued. In January of 1945, Lieutenant Colonel Henry Musi, played by Benjamin Bratt, a Low alumni, conducted this rescue mission with the help of Captain Robert Prince, who is played by James Franco. So hot.
Oh my gosh, Josette, stop.
While creating this plan, Major Gibson, played by Joseph Jenyse, is a prisoner at the POW camp. There, he contracts a deadly disease called malaria. With the help of Margaret Utinsky, played by Connie Nielsen, an American nurse who worked with the Filipino resistance movement, secretly provides POW with medicine, food, and other items. After 4 days of planning, the U.S. military successfully rescues over 500 prisoners and defeats the Japanese army with the help of Filipino guerrillas. To be honest, I'm not really the person who's into war or action movies, but surprisingly, The Great Raid was actually really good. Yes, there were good-looking actors in the film, but they all portrayed their own character really well. The tragic love story between Major Gibson and Margaret was also the cutest thing ever, but I'm not gonna lie, this film was awesome and made me tear up just a little bit.
Really, Josette? Just a little bit?
Wow, okay, well what did you think about the movie? Well, because this movie was about the Philippines in World War II, I just had to watch it. Our own great-grandfather was a prisoner of war and marched in the Bataan Death March. He survived the march, but when he arrived at the Kapas POW camp, he unfortunately died of malaria. So when watching The Great Raid, I felt connected to every one of the soldiers in the movie. This movie was well made, and I highly recommend to watch The Great Raid if you want to know more about what was happening in the Pacific in World War II. At the end of the movie, we could both say we are truly proud to be Filipino-American. Most World War II movies are about the war in Europe, but The Great Raid provides a brief but accurate description of US's role in the Pacific in World War II. This movie shows the US's heroic role in their most successful military mission in US history. Compared to the real-life story of the Great Raid in Cabanatuan, the movie does a very good job portraying real-life events. The movie shows real-life footage of the Bataan Death March and the liberation of the prisoners. Most of the major characters in the movie were real, such as Lieutenant Colonel Henry Musi and Captain Robert Prince. However, Major Gibson was a fictional character made up by John Dahl. We think that Major Gibson was there to show how much suffering and loss all the soldiers had to endure in the POW camps. In the end, his wish for him and his fellow soldiers to be free became a reality. Sadly, he died in a foreign land instead of being back home. But his lover, Margaret, inspired him as well as all the soldiers she secretly aided during those brutal times in the camp. She was a symbol of hope and also a symbol of second chances during this time in the war. At the end of the film, it explains that President Truman awarded the American nurse the Medal of Freedom for outstanding heroism and fortitude. Thanks for watching!